What we want to talk about here at AVPN is the need for better partnerships among all these different stakeholders who are interested in sustainable and inclusive growth across the region, and how we power that to get better outcomes. But specifically from UNFPA's perspective, we want to make sure that we get better outcomes for women and girls across the region. If you look at the area of maternal health, you have an unacceptable amount of preventable pregnancy-related deaths that happen on a daily basis. One woman every 2 minutes dying from a preventable pregnancy-related death. That's unacceptable in 2025. And so we want to leverage better the type of investments that are required across the region so that we get better, sustainable maternal health outcomes. Ultimately, everybody benefits when we do that. You're absolutely right. And I think, part of the reason is that we don't have sustainable financing, and we don't have the kind of partnerships that are going to leverage the scale that we need to deliver on this. If you look at the underinvestments in maternal health, we're short 1 million midwives. There's a consistent underinvestment in maternal health. You're talking about, these impacts in a region like Asia Pacific, where, it is the most climate crisis related region in the world, and that results in having a direct impact on the maternal health, particularly of women who are pregnant. It increases heat stress, it increases risk of stillbirth, preterm births, preeclampsia, which of course can be life-threatening. And the other thing is that you also have a rise in conflicts and disasters. 60% globally of pregnancy-related deaths that are preventable happen in fragile settings. So, there is a lot more that still needs to happen, and what we need to do is close the gap in terms of the inequities and the inequalities that exist within countries. It's not about comparing country to country. It's about looking at who's being left behind in a particular country and how do we reach them. And very often, it's a her. At UNFPA, we're bringing to bear a lot of evidence and data to tell the good story in terms of what good investments look like, and also the return on investment when you invest in maternal health. So for every dollar that you invest in maternal health, you can get returns between $8 and $33 US. So to do that, we want to bring together a whole cast of stakeholders, government, private sector, philanthropics, so that we get a better mix of blended and catalytic financing that's going to give us more longer-term sustainable investments in health system strengthening, better capacity building, but also very importantly to make sure that as we design all of these programs, we're listening to women. We're designing it with women from bottom up, not top down. In this region, there's a lot of countries with still very high unacceptable rates of maternal mortality. And obviously we want to, target those with highest burden, highest need. And, very often these are countries that are not only affected by climate, but also affected by conflict. So we want to work with those, but we also want to recognize that there are inequalities when it comes to maternal health across the board. One death is a death too many. So we want to make sure that even in countries with lower rates of maternal mortality, that we get closer to achieving that precious zero, because that's what we want to see, zero preventable pregnancy-related deaths. What we're trying to achieve requires many different approaches. So it requires, very innovative catalytic financing. But it also requires us to look at things like the societal hurdles that are preventing us from making progress in maternal health. What are the harmful social and gender norms that persist gender inequality across the board? How do we engage with faith communities so that that young girl can understand her right to full bodily autonomy? And so I think we have endless possibilities. We know what works. We have the goodwill and intent on the part of many of these stakeholders. I think we need to come together better with more deliberate leadership. And I think we can definitely achieve these over the coming years.